The film opens with Ish, a geologist living near the forest. After being bitten by a snake at a quarry, he desperately treats his wound but collapses at home, weak and unable to move. As he slowly recovers, he discovers a global pandemic has wiped out most people. On the roads, he finds military vehicles with a message about the virus. Panicked, he turns on the radio, hearing warnings about the virus and staying indoors. When he reaches his family home, the horrifying truth hits him. Both of his parents are dead. Grief consumes him, but he gathers the strength to bury them in the backyard, saying a final goodbye. Ish spends time in his childhood room before exploring the abandoned town and finding several bodies in the church. He grabs supplies, including a gun, and heads for the bridge only to find it blocked. Frustrated, he screams and drives to Las Vegas, discovering the city empty. Searching the building yields nothing, so Ish takes a break in a jacuzzi. Later, at a bar, he's startled by a voice. It's Milton and Anne, a couple immune to the virus who got stuck when it spread. Milton shows him a video explaining the virus's rapid spread and the government's collapse. Ish remembers his parents' warnings but never realizes the severity. Milton and Anne explain the pandemic wiped out most nations, leaving only a few survivors. Anne shares her grief over losing her family via a video call. While Milton and Anne continue drinking, Ish leaves to take the elevator but collapses from exhaustion. The next morning, he finds Anne trying on luxury clothes and wonders if life still matters. Anne says survival alone isn't enough. At breakfast, Ish learns Milton's wife died in the hotel. When he plans to leave, Anne storms off, upset. Milton urges him to stay, explaining they have food and a generator, but they've agreed to end their lives when supplies run out. Ish can't understand why they would give up. Before leaving, Ish asks Anne to join him, but she refuses and kisses him goodbye. As he walks out, he hears 2 gunshots. Heartbroken, Ish speeds down the road, nearly hitting a dog. He stops just in time, names the dog Lucky, and takes it with him. Ish visits a library, gathers survival books, and returns to his old home, with Lucky to start anew. His daily tasks keep him alive a year later, but his mind unravels. One morning, Lucky barks and Ish spots smoke rising in the distance. Following it, they meet Emma, a woman armed on the roof. She listens to Ish's story, lowers her gun, and invites him in. They share tea and connect. When Ish plans to leave, Emma asks him to stay the night. The next day, Ish convinces her to move in, hoping companionship will ease their loneliness. They settle into a routine, planting crops, fishing, and adjusting to the desolate town. Emma notices rats in the pantry, prompting a trip for supplies. The store is decayed, but they gather what they need. Ish siphons gas from abandoned cars and installs solar panels. One day while fixing the roof, he injures his ankle, and Emma cares for him, confessing her loneliness. Later, she weeps over family photos. Once Ish heals, Emma reveals she's pregnant. Panic, Ish searches for childbirth books. As their farm flourishes, Emma craves protein, and Ish reluctantly hunts a cow, butchering it with a survival guide. They celebrate when the solar panels power the house, but their joy is short-lived. Emma finds a giant rat in the basement and drowns in it. The rats multiply, drawn by trash, and the couple burns it all. They seal the house, and more rats keep coming. When Lucky is attacked, Ish rushes to protect him, but rats slip inside. In desperation, Ish smashes the rats with his gun, helpless against the onslaught. After treating Lucky's wounds, Emma reassures a fearful Ish, who dreads losing her during childbirth. She reveals she had 2 daughters, without complications, but lost her family to the virus. Months later, the rat problem is under control thanks to feral cats. The couple steps outside, breathing fresh air. That day, Emma goes into labor, but faces complications with the baby's shoulder. Ish scrambles for the survival book, but Emma calmly directs him to reposition the baby. He follows her instructions, and the birth is a success. They welcome a healthy daughter. Feeling hopeful, Emma paints their address on a town wall, hoping to draw survivors. From a distance, a figure watches. 6 years after the pandemic, Ish hits a lion while driving. He notices someone watching from the woods and chases the figure, finding a young girl, Evie, who runs away in fear. After offering her an apple, she climbs into his truck. He takes her home to Emma, who's pregnant again, and their 2 children, Heather and Alex. The group, including survivors Jorge and Maureen, welcome Evie, who remains silent and distrustful. The next day, Maureen helps Evie feel safe, revealing similar scars and comforting her. Maureen also convinces Evie to bathe and eventually learns her name from a diary. The group reads a letter from Evie's mother, explaining the abuse she suffered, and they decide to adopt her into the family. A year later, a new group of survivors, including Molly, Jean, Ezra, and Rife, arrives, fleeing a flu outbreak in Oregon. While cautiously welcoming them, the group's routine continues. Molly secretly finds medicine in a hospital, and the group begins to bond. Though tension builds between Molly and Jean, Jean struggles with her pregnancy, and Molly promises to keep her secret. Life remains peaceful until a mountain lion attacks during a storm. Ish sacrifices himself to protect the children, and Evie screams for help. The adults rescue Ish, and Molly, though a former medical student, saves him with her skills. Emma avenges Ish by killing the lion. As Ish recovers, he reunites with his family while the group celebrates their bond and survival. By 17 years of the pandemic, Joey had become a skilled fisherman, making Ish proud, though Alex had grown jealous. Heather and Rife, now old enough, start dating and convince their parents to let them explore abandoned houses. Meanwhile, the group's water supply runs dangerously low, with the reservoir empty and pipes rusted beyond repair. When two vehicles arrive, Charlie and Perry offer water, and Emma allows them in after some discussion. Charlie's group is drilling wells near Nevada. Ish agrees to trade fuel for a well, but his mistrust of Charlie grows, especially as Charlie makes Evie uncomfortable. Charlie's group becomes increasingly familiar, and Ish feels uneasy about their presence. One day, after the well hits water, Charlie reveals he doesn't plan to leave. That night, Ish finds Charlie leaving Evie's cottage. Evie tearfully confesses that Charlie assaulted her. The family debates how to handle the situation, ultimately deciding that Charlie must be killed to protect them. Ish confronts Charlie, striking him with a hammer until he's dead. Overwhelmed, Ish wonders aloud if they had no other choice. The family disposes of Charlie's body, and when Perry learns the truth, she chooses to stay. Silas, however, is furious and calls them traitors, storming off. Alex later learns the truth and struggles to process it. Silas returns, pleading for a place to stay, but Ish refuses, knowing Silas is complicit. Silas leaves and the group is left to rebuild in peace, with the weight of their decisions heavy on their hearts. 20 years into the pandemic, the Earth begins to heal. With fewer humans around, Joey and Corey work on a modified Da Vinci airplane, while Alex struggles with jealousy. One night, Joey falls ill, followed by others in the group. Molly suspects it's tied to the original virus. As the sickness spreads, Ish stays by Joey's side, haunted by visions of Charlie. When Heather returns home alone, revealing Rife didn't survive their journey, she takes over Joey's care. Ish feels guilty for Charlie's death, heads into the overgrown city for medicine, but is tormented by memories. Back home, Heather shares her tragic story of losing Rife, leading Jean to relapse. Ish prepares for a risky blood transfusion, but Molly intervenes with a yew tree extract. Joey's condition worsens, and despite the treatment, he passes away. Devastated, Ish destroys books in the library, but Emma pulls him back, reminding him of the importance of the family. After a quiet funeral, Ish begins to embrace the world's resilience. A year later, Ish discovers Joey's diary, including radio designs. Inspired, the group builds it, but no one responds. Despite the silence, Ish continues his search. One day, Emma encourages him to take a break, and they join a baseball game made from random household items. While they enjoy the game, Heather wonders why it is so focused on numbers. Ish explains that in the old world, everything was measured and ranked. This sparks a memory in Heather. Those numbers with arrows. Realizing they are of frequency, the group rushes to the radio. After a tense wait, they finally hear a response. A 77-member community is less than 100 miles away at a former state park. After discussing it, Ish's group invites them to join their community. 50 years later, an elderly Ish passes his hammer to Heather's son, sharing his final lesson. People may come and go, but the earth abides. In a world transformed by time and tragedy, his journey from guilt and loss to redemption and hope shows us the power of resilience, love, and the will to rebuild. The story may end here, but the legacy of survival, community, and hope continues to unfold. What would you do in a world where survival is the only thing that matters? Would you keep fighting or surrender like Milton and Anne? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more captivating movie recaps.